Peace, diehards. It's your boy Eru, the Any Star, host of the Diehard Knicks Podcast. This is a Anchor exclusive here from the audio podcast. I'm going to be using Stitcher, and this is a great episode, man. So I had to put this on YouTube. I interviewed Knicks Community Podcast host Aiden Donahue. So this is a show of love, man. So I don't want to hype it up too much, man, but please enjoy the conversation. It's about 51 minutes or so. And like I said, man, if you're a fan of the Knicks and if you like positivity, this is going to be the show for you, man. So without further ado, let's just get into it, man. This is Knicks Community Podcast on the Diehard Knicks Podcast show, man. Check it. And we are rocking with Aiden Donahue from the Knicks Community Podcast. How you doing, my brother?
I've been going good. Just excited to do this interview and just trying to pass the time during quarantine as best as I can. And yeah, how have you been doing?
Otherwise everything's been pretty good, man. You have a great voice, man. I gotta tell you that, man. For podcasting, definitely.
Oh, thank you so much.
You got some Bill Simmons vibes going on.
Oh, thank you. This is such a kind of like a full circle kind. I mean, even before I started my podcast, I was listening to your podcast even before I started mine. So just to be on it now is just crazy to think about. You know what I mean? So I've been listening to this podcast since before I even made mine, and it was such inspiration, in making my podcast. So I just wanted to say, thank you for everything you've been doing for the fans and everybody that's a diehard Knicks fan.
I appreciate it, man. Definitely, man. It's great to hear feedback from people, and just to know that people are crazy like me. So I heard you use the word, man. So are you a diehard? I know that's like kind of like a stupid question.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been a fan of the Knicks since pretty young. I would say probably like eight-ish, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, I remember the first Knicks game I ever went to. I remember that. I was walking in with my dad, and I was in my Knicks gear and Knicks jacket, and they actually pulled me aside and interviewed me, and I think they showed it up on the jumbotron at like halftime, and my teacher was in the crowd, and she was like, "Oh, that's my student, that's Aiden." And then next day, I was obviously a hero at school, and then ever since then, I've been a diehard ever since. So yeah.
Wow, so you came in grand fashion, man. You got to be interviewed. You got on the jumbotron. The teachers noticed you. The school, your friends, everything. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. No, it was a crazy, crazy moment, and I was like, man, it's like the atmosphere of the Garden, and I was like, oh, this is so cool, and then I've just been a fan of the team ever since.
Okay, so was it anything about the game or the players that attracted you, or was it just that magical moment?
I mean, I'd say both. I mean, I think at that time, I think that was right before, or maybe like a year or two before we had that really big playoff run with Melo and Copeland and Stoudemire and Chandler, and when I think we went to the Eastern Conference semifinals or finals when we got eliminated against the Pacers that year. Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely. I mean, the game and the atmosphere, just the whole kind of, I guess, moment and the atmosphere, like I was just saying, yeah.
That's great, man. Well, most younger fans they tend to say Melo. Melo was the one that got them into the Knicks. So you actually got in before all the hoopla stuff, all the just like the attention that Melo was bringing. Because we're gonna probably talk about this a little later, but everyone wants that star, to latch onto, and that's the reason why they love the Knicks. But for you to come in before that even happened, this shows you right there what type of fan you are.
100%. And I really owe it all to my parents and my family, and my dad's been a huge Knicks fan since Clyde Frazier and when they won the championships back in the late 70s. So I mean, and he was even before. We went to the games. He was, for years before, he was like updating me on everything. And I mean, that was back when we had, I think, Gallinari on the team. So like, I'd say 2008-ish maybe. But but yeah, so I've been, literally a diehard ever since. So.
All right. So it's your dad. Your dad is the key guy. He's the one that's like really like the original Knicks fan of the house.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd say definitely my dad. Yeah, and obviously, family members and everything. But I think my dad was really the one that was really helpful for me in starting to become a Knicks fan and everything like that.
Okay. So what brought you to this point where like you get so crazy to the point where like you have to I got to get it out, man. So you turn to podcasting. How did that come about?
Well, I wanted to start my podcast and Nick's page on Instagram mainly for a couple reasons. I'd say that obviously the first reason is just to get the news out there and just inform Knicks fans of what's going on in the news and rumors and reports and everything that goes on with our team. And then obviously, I mean, the second reason I think I just wanted to create a discussion and really just create a dialogue and leave Knicks fans with questions about certain like scenarios. Like I just did an episode about the whole Kevin Durant situation, and I really kind of laid my thoughts and theories that I believe that Kevin Durant wanted to play with Porzingis, and then as soon as Porzingis was traded, he just was not interested in the Knicks anymore, and kind of the allure of being that guy for the Knicks. And so I always like leaving my fans and Knicks fans with questions that they can discuss and really think about. And so I think that I really created my podcast just to create a discussion and a dialogue, really.
Yeah. Well, I've been listening to your show too, man. That's definitely key when doing a podcast. You got to have like a mission, basically like a mission statement kind of thing. Like for me, like I just like to engage with fans. I like talking to people, especially about the Knicks, because every time like the Knicks come up, it's always a stressful situation. Like people tend to uh they kind of badger Knicks fans, because we're like the kicking stone, whatever. So like to hear a show like yours, because like I said, I do listen to your show. So like you have a tone, like you said, you want to give questions and just give a different insight and just pull people away from that whole negative vibe thing and get people thinking about like listen, this is what's happening actually. And then when people listen, they kind of like, well, yeah, you kind of right, but we can't really get away from those negative vibes, man. Have you experienced like these crazy Knicks fans out there?
I mean, I don't think I've ever really experienced crazy Knicks fans. I mean, obviously, I've seen obviously um, a lot of not really positive responses over the years. But I mean, I think with my show, I really try to bring positivity and kind of like you were saying before, definitely just trying to get Knicks fans kind of like away from all that negativity, because I know like whenever obviously I talk about the Knicks like in school or just with friends, like it's always kind of like a tough situation because of obviously the struggle that we've been going through the past like 6 years since before we made that huge playoff run back in like 2013. So I mean, I've definitely seen a lot of negative Knicks fans, whether it's on social media or at MSG whenever if I go to games. But yes, I mean I've definitely I guess experienced like and I've been around situations where obviously the conversation of the Knicks wasn't the most positive, but I definitely always just try to bring positivity and kind of lightness whenever I bring up the Knicks on my show. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, man, it's this is like kind of like therapy for me because I'm a little older, so I'm working like today I was working all day, man. So everyone knows that I'm the Nick guy, man. So every time something happens, especially with this KD thing, because this
Mhm.
this this was big news, man. Because you
Yeah.
know that's another thing too. Like the media, they like to plant seeds on us, and then we're kind of stuck out there as Knicks fans because we're the ones that got to fight these guys when they say, "Oh, you think you're gonna get Durant? Oh, you think you're gonna get Kyrie?" And then we're
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, but they're saying this, and we're seeing all the reports because we're reading everything." And then when it doesn't come through, everybody comes back to us and look at us like we're the morons, but we're just kind of just regurgitating stuff that they say,
Mhm.
So it's just good to have that voice for whatever. But like today, for instance, we kind of were talking about KD, and
Mhm.
like I said, for like for like 8+ hours, I'm like fighting these guys, and like
Right.
they're joking on me and stuff, and I just you know it's just crazy, man. I try not to gauge too much because like I said, I have this platform, and
Mhm.
I just kind of want to direct that energy to here rather than fisticuffs in the street.
Right. Exactly. No, I feel that. I feel that as well. I mean, that's again why I just try to bring, positivity and light, because it's always so, I guess, mentally and emotionally draining. When you hear all these, I guess, kind of like bashful comments, if that makes sense, whenever our team, I mean, gets discussed, especially when you have the players like Kevin Durant. Like, remember, I think he said a while ago, he was like, like the Knicks, like they just like aren't cool anymore, and like all that kind of stuff. And I mean, that's just why I just don't really try to focus on all of that, because it's so draining. And
Yeah.
if I did focus on that, like I feel like I wouldn't really have like that much to talk to, because I mean talk about, because I just be like, like just bashing on the Knicks for like 3 hours, and like I feel like people don't really want to hear that. I think people want to hear definitely a different perspective, and a more kind of like positive one and reassuring one. And I think that's definitely what I bring to my podcast. And yeah, so I mean, it's always tough when you obviously hear bashful comments, whether it's from writers or fans. But I just think people just sometimes just kind of need that, I guess, reassurance and positivity as Knicks fans, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
Mhm.
have you had a chance to go to any Nick meetups and stuff like that, especially at the beginning of this year? Because this year was kind of like really busy as far as the meetups and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't really been to that many meetups. I mean, I think, I mean, I kind of started my podcast, like, I think right like in the beginning of quarantine, or maybe like, yeah, I think probably the beginning of quarantine. So I haven't really been to that many meetups. But I mean, if you could hook me up or anything, I'd be more than welcome to come out and show some love.
Yeah, man, you're the Knicks Community Podcast, man. You got to get out there, you know.
Exactly. Gotta
Yeah.
be one with the community. You know what I mean?
Well, when you're there and you're meeting just strangers, you just sit in the room and stuff. And when you first of all, when you come up on like that type of setting, you see everybody out there. They have all the gear on and stuff. So you kind of just look at them like, yo, these guys are crazy.
Right.
They're just like me, you know. And then you
Yeah.
get to speaking to them, and nobody is in those circles. Nobody's acting like say like a Stephen A. Smith, because he's like the main one, and nobody's acting like those type of guys. Everyone's just vibing because the life is just too crazy for you to be to bring that craziness to something that's supposed to bring like light, like you said, use the word light, which is great, man. It's like it's just too hard out there for something that's supposed to be leisure, for you to bring that type of vibe to it. It's just not cool.
Yeah. No, 100%. I totally agree with you on that, for sure.
Well, you came to the Knicks right now at a good stage because, like I said, you got to see them build that Amari vibe. LeBron, especially LeBron. So you came in with the LeBron era, and then we
Hmm.
got the Amari came through, and then Melo came through. So you came in on a especially that story that you told me about being on a jumbotron. That's great, man. So you came in such a great foot. So now you this is like really like your first like hardcore rebuild and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, how was this going with you? Like because from going from that era into this transition, how have you been dealing with that transition?
Um, I mean, I think I've been handling it pretty well. I mean, obviously, there's moments where obviously Knicks fans are always disappointed. I mean, recently, I mean, obviously when we got the eighth pick in the draft lottery, I mean, it wasn't really the happiest of moments. But I mean, like I was also I also was talking about that on my podcast too, and I was just like, like we've drafted so many players from, Europe and so on and so forth. And I believe that, maybe we could draft some unknown player that nobody's talking about. I mean, you can forget all the Anthony Edwards and LaMelo and all that talk, because obviously those guys are gonna leave in the first couple picks. But I mean, I just think that obviously in this draft, I believe that we can find somebody that nobody's talking about, and hopefully he could be like a Porzingis kind of person. I mean, I met Porzingis right when he right when he came to New York, and he was super nice. And obviously at that time, everybody was like, oh, like, who is this guy? Like, everybody's talking about all these different players in the draft of that year. And they're like, who is this guy? Like, why did we pick him up? He's going to be terrible. This is going to be another flop. And then obviously we all know that he became KP and that, star of the Knicks. And he really, for a while there, he really brought excitement and energy back into that arena and in that fan base. And he really made us, I'd say, relevant again in the sports conversation, because obviously that team, when we had Ennis Cantor on the team and so many other guys on that team like Courtney Lee and Tim Hardaway Jr. It really looked like for a while we were going to be on the verge of, maybe not that year, but definitely in the upcoming years, a possible 8th seeded playoff team, or maybe even an even higher seeded playoff team. So personally, I think I've been handling the rebuild stages pretty well, because for me, I always just try to find positives out of any situation that we're in. Obviously, when times are tough, I think people really just need, like I've been saying before, just positivity and reassurance, because it's just so draining when you think about like all the records, when we have like a 17-65 record. Like, that's obviously all anybody's going to talk about is, oh, look at what they did this season. Like, look how terrible they did. But you got to think, like, I'll give an example. Maybe in like a couple years ago, or like 2 years ago, when everybody was talking about KD and Kyrie in that whole year, and the team didn't really do that good that year. But I mean, everybody was like, oh, look how terrible they did. But really, when you think about it, you should be like, oh, like, look how much cap space they have. Look how much room for opportunity they have to get stars on their team. So I mean, I just believe that people should just be focusing more on the positives in these kinds of rebuild stages, because you never know when the team's going to get the next Porzingis or that next kind of like gem or diamond in the rough, that nobody sees at first, but then when they break out, then that people are like, oh, that guy's a beast, that guy's legit. So to just end your question, I think that I've been handling the rebuild process pretty well, because I think I just try to find the positives in every situation that we've gone through over these past like 6 years.
Yeah, but that's a great answer, man. I'm loving everything that you're saying. Like, it's another thing too. It's like being in a car ride. Like what being a sports fan. It's like being in a car ride. If you're gonna go to your destination, but if you're gonna be complaining, are we there yet? Are we there? Are we there yet? Did you notice the scenery? Did you see
Right.
the foliage? Did you see the mountains? Did you notice that? Did you see that sports car on the side there? You missed the
Right.
whole ride. You're just waiting to get to that destination, but you missed the ride. Is the most satisfying thing. So even with the losing, even to that degree, like, single digits to 65 losses, you can talk about that. But those bad times is what's going to make the good times so much more sweeter. So
Absolutely.
like, you talk about Porzingis and stuff, but I go back as far as Bernard King. That's when I came on. I had to be like 4 or so. And
Yeah.
also my dad is the one that brought that on. But there's been so much history from as far as I go back. And I know you talked about your dad goes back even further. My dad goes back into like before Clyde Frazier and all that stuff. So, this is just history. So much things have happened throughout the years. And you got to go through bad times to get to the good times. It just so happens that it's the Knicks' turn to deal with the hard times, and it's not like we didn't try. You got to enjoy that too. We try to be good, but things go wrong. Not everyone can be like say like the Spurs and be be perennial winners for years, or like Miami. Miami's
Right.
been rebuilding every so often. Not
Yeah.
everybody's so lucky, but you have to sit back and smell the roses sometimes and just really just enjoy what's happening.
100%. And then, I mean, speaking of Miami, I mean, they've been doing insanely well in the bubble. I
Oh my
mean,
God. I
Jimmy
mean, it
Jimmy
hurts me,
Butler.
man.
Yeah, it hurts me too. It's always tough when you see a rival team of us like the Celtics or Miami, and they just go off, and it just
Yeah. Both of those
it,
teams
yeah,
are like what we would like to be, and I
exactly.
love all their players. They have all great young players, and It's me. That's what we would like to be, right?
Yeah, I mean, I only went to one game this past season, and that was the opening night versus the Celtics, and I was like, "Ooh, this team is going to be set for the future." I mean, especially when, I mean, they brought out Taco Fall with like like just garbage time, like 2 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, and like you just see everybody in like the celebrity row, and everybody's like, "Who is this like crazy like 8 foot tall giant coming into the game?" And I'm just like, man, this team is so good, and they have so many just underrated players on that team. I mean, especially if you look at Miami too, they have Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, and Jay Crowder, and just so many guys that are just so underrated. And I really just hope that we have some maybe underrated players, hopefully in the future or for now. I mean, I think that I think underrated players that we really should utilize more is Kenny Wooten and Ignas Brazdeikis, because I mean,
Absolutely.
if we see what they've been able to do in the G League and in that developmental kind of setting. I mean, Ignas was like our leading scorer with like 20 points per game. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've said before on my show too, I'm just like, these are the guys that we have to utilize in order to become a team, possibly like, God willing, and hopefully like Miami or Boston, and just really just utilize the young guys and just kind of see what they have to prove and bring to games for the Knicks. So I really hope that players like Ignis and Kenny just kind of really, I think, should be utilized more in this next season. And I hope Thibodeau and Woodson realize that. I mean, I love the coaching staff that
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
have this season. I mean, I think this could arguably be maybe one of the best coaching staffs we've had in a long time. I mean, I love what Woodson brings to the team. I really just, I could summarize the coaching staff in 2 words, and that's no nonsense. I mean, Thibodeau is just, yeah,
Professionalism too, man.
exactly. I mean, they mean business, and I really think that it's going to do well for the development of guys like Mitch and RJ, and I really think they're going to bring something really special to that team and organization.
Yeah, you can't forget about the front office too. They made so many spectacular hires there too. A lot of bright young minds, and they brought
Hmm.
that Sage out from Utah.
Yeah,
You know,
Johnny Bryant. Yeah.
yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, I mean that guy alone. I think I posted a video of him just on the sidelines during summer league, and
Hmm.
that's the type of guy that we need on the coaching staff to, like, be whispering in the ears of guys to let them know what they're not doing, or if they're sulking, or if they're just like not playing well. Just let them know or if they're playing well, let them know. Yeah, man, keep doing that. But listen, watch the left. That type of thing. So I mean, like, we set the table, from your front office and coaching staff. So right now, we just have to just like I said, we just have to sit in that seat and look out the window, man, and just enjoy the ride, man.
A
Because
100%.
yeah, and like you mentioned, Iggy, man, Iggy's one of my favorite players on the team. I love watching him play.
Same.
He's like so confident. It's
Hmm.
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I watched some G League clips of him, and I'm just like, whoa, he's good.
Smooth. He's smooth, very smooth.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and there's another G League player. I think Lamar Peters. I think his
Yeah.
name is. Yeah, I posted a video on him on my Instagram too, and I'm just like, this guy is our future point guard. I mean, like if we don't get Fred Van Vliet or just to name a few guys, but like, I mean, even if we don't get Fred Van Vliet or just some scoring point guards that are really just going to be efficient, like Knicks, this is the guy right here. I mean, he's breaking ankles, shooting, making every shot. Like, open your eyes. This is the guy right in front of us. We have him, and we just got to call him up and just put him in games, make him uh you know earn his place in that starting lineup, see how he does. And I mean, there's your three guys that could possibly be diamonds in the rough: Kenny Wooden, Ignas Brazdeikis, and Lamar Peters. There you go. Those are
Yeah.
your three guys. Even if we don't get all these crazy big stars like LaMelo and Zach LaVine, I've been hearing in conversations, and Fred Van Vliet or Chris Paul is what we've been hearing in those conversations too. Even if we don't get those guys, we still have young guys that look really just NBA ready, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, man, because there's been a lot of talk about point guards.
Hmm.
I've been thinking about it, just having conversations with guys and stuff, and then I feel like we might have overemphasized the need for drafting a point guard because
Hmm.
everybody Melo's the big thing, but we're the eighth pick, so it was like a blessing in the skies in a way because outside of LaMelo Ball, there's not really any point guards in the draft worthy of like that high of a pick, so we would have to trade down type of situation.
Hmm.
But that's not product, that's kind of counterproductive to what we're trying to do. But we, like you said, we have Lamar Peters in the
Yeah.
G League. It's like destroying that. He has all the dribble moves and stuff, but he also has good vision too. He had a 19 assist
Mm.
game. He had a couple other big assist games too. And
Yeah.
then not to mention too, Jared Harper. He's another guy that
Yeah.
they seem to like.
Yeah, I think didn't he just make some like crazy like workout mixtape video or some crazy thing like that, and he like had it on a story. And I remember like I think a bunch of Knicks accounts were sharing it around, and he looks legit too.
Yeah, he's a good shooter. He might be
Hmm.
a little short. Both guys might be kind of short, but I mean that doesn't really matter if you can play.
Yeah, they still could definitely make an impact in games and in clutch situations, I think.
Yeah, and then quiet is kept too. You talk about Frank Ntilikina. I'm not a fan of his, but we're now in year 4,
Right.
and like you would hope
Hmm.
that with the coaching staff now that we have around him, that maybe he might make a turn a corner, and then we still have DSJ on the contract as well. So our
Yeah.
point guard situation, we're kind of stacked.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have this coaching staff and we have this front office. So let these guys do their job. Let them evaluate the talent. Let the guys go out there and bang it out in practice. And you just hope that they allow the cream to rise and don't play favorites, don't play contracts and stuff like that. Don't play the contracts, play the talent. I just hope that they do that because, like you said, we could have not just one diamond, we can have several diamonds, in our little farm system that we have, man.
100%. And I mean, even if, we don't see guys like Frank or DSJ or Kevin Knox kind of like, what's the right word here? I think like make that impact that they should have made, like, I think probably like a couple years ago. I mean, you could put them on the bench, or I mean, I don't know if this is the right move, but I mean, maybe you could send them down to the G League and just kind of see, I guess, where they fit or how they play. And just like you were saying before, just let guys like Jared Harper and Lamar Peters just do their thing and see how they do. So I mean, I see it as, I mean, a win. I mean, even if you have guys like Frank that are just underperforming, or Kevin Knox, same here with him as well. I mean, just I would just say to utilize those guys from Westchester and just see how they do in games for the Knicks.
Yeah. Isn't that exciting?
Yeah. Like, come on. This is like we're still not out. We are still in it to win it
Yeah.
with all of these diamonds in the rough that we have in our disposal.
Yeah. It's not always about like hero worshiping, say the whole savior word, that they like to use. That I wish
Yeah.
they would just put that to rest. Like watching basketball and just following sports in general, the greatest thing is just watching the team develop and just seeing these young guys do their thing. Like, I haven't really done it in a while, especially with COVID and stuff. I would just roll up to a park and just watch to see who's playing, and then I would just scout who's playing. I know who's the good player, and
Mhm.
and whatever. I'll just watch sometimes. I don't
Yeah.
really play like I used to, so I would just watch a game because I just love it. That's people forget that the money and the commercials and all the hoopla and stuff. People get mesmerized by that, but the very essence of basketball is just a group of people playing.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you missed the whole ride, man.
100%. 100%. I really like that whole enjoy the scenery kind of ride there. I think that you should definitely use that. I mean, when you're talking about hard moments and just to bring some reassurance and positivity, and I mean, hey, if you're cool, I mean, hey, I'll even use that line too. Just I mean, like you were saying
Positive
before,
vibes, bro.
100%. That's all that I try to bring into my Knicks Community Podcast, is just at the end of the day, just positivity and just reassurance to Knicks fans that maybe are dealing with hard times, like just like bullying and stuff for even supporting the Knicks. And
Yeah,
that's why I just try to bring positivity and just be like, look, this is who we have. These are the guys that I think will definitely be an impact possibly in future years. And just look at what we have. Like we might take a little while to get to a championship caliber team, but we still got some time and a lot of guys that I think will definitely be proven of very good NBA talent in the future from Westchester and those developmental leagues.
Yeah. I like to tell some of my guys, man, stop complaining, man. Just get in the car, man. Get in the truck. That's what I tell. Like, just get in the truck, man. Just don't worry about all that. Just get inside, man. Let's just go. Let's go for this ride.
100%.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to go for that.
100%. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Well, I want to mention, KD too, with the whole Savior thing. You mentioned that he wanted to play with KD. That's absolutely right. I actually don't even hear anybody saying that about his love for KD. He's the one that crowned him the unicorn.
Literally, I said that too. I said literally he made him a freaking nickname. Like, and obviously, I believe that he literally made that nickname to try to establish a connection and a chemistry in hopes of coming to the Knicks. I mean, how crazy would that team be? Kevin Durant, Porzingis. I mean, that would just be every Knicks fan's dream. That'd be so fun to watch.
Yeah, as soon as he called him the unicorn, I thought about it too. But like now, after everything that passed, say what you want to say. It's the negativity that caused that. Because now KP doesn't want to be involved in it. He causes a rift with his brother, and we don't know what was going on behind the scenes and stuff. But anyway, they made the move, and now he's in Dallas, and now KD is in Brooklyn. But he called him the unicorn, so he wanted to be here. So that's initial. But I want to add on this also. The Knicks at the time, we were the only ones that had like cap space for two people. So yeah, if he was going to come anywhere, he was coming to the Knicks. Absolutely, until the Nets decided to sell their souls for that extra spot, and that's what got him to Brooklyn.
100%.
Yeah, maybe at this stage of his career too. Like, I mean, he had almost a career-ending injury that he's gonna come back from, obviously. But he already won 2 championships. He already did the scoring titles. He did the super teams with OKC and
Golden State. Yeah,
Golden State. He did the whole vibe. So maybe he literally just wants to chill and play basketball now.
Yeah,
because he said that out of his own mouth. So maybe fall back on all the craziness. Maybe this is a man at 31 years old that's like, yo, man, I just want to chill and play basketball, like literally.
Yeah. Not even for like publicity reasons. I totally agree. Maybe he just literally feels that, like, I just want to show up to Barclays, ball out, go back to my house, and just chill. 100%. I believe that he could be at that stage of his career. And speaking of his career-ending injury with his ACL, I believe it was.
The Achilles.
Yeah, Achilles. Yep. Yeah, I mean, Saquon Barkley of the Giants possibly might have just torn his ACL too. So I mean, there's a lot of injuries going on.
Yeah.
100%.
I feel like like we're talking about vibes here, which I love, But I feel like all the bad vibes, we have control over that as fans. And that's the thing that's missing with the I call them talking heads, because they're not really talking with any purpose really. They're just kind of talking for a reaction. So these reactions, they trickle down, and we consume that and we regurgitate it. So like if we're expecting championships and good fortune, and all we're doing is spewing venom, what do you think? That's the main reason why we've been terrible like this whole like millennium,
Right, 100%.
I feel like as fans, we're like we have a responsibility, and we have a say in all of this, So
right,
it's kind of like reap what you sow kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to talking heads, I think that what they need to, I think, understand when you're talking about the Knicks is just perspective. I think that what, like you were saying before, I think that a lot of talking heads just talk for mainly getting a reaction purposes. I mean, that's why everybody loves Stephen A. Smith. I mean, I love Stephen A. Smith just because I just believe that he's, just hilarious that in everything that he says.
That's his draw. He is hilarious.
Yeah, that's his kind of a niche, and I think when talking heads bring up and discuss the topic of the Knicks. I mean, I think that they should be like, like this is the perspective of what Knicks fans are currently going through right now, and I think that that should be seen more in the conversation of when these talking heads and uh, sports writers. I mean, some sports writers do, I mean, a great job, like Mark Berman and Ian Begley and all those guys. But I believe when it comes to like guys like Stephen A. and like Skip Bayless and like Shannon Sharp and Max Kellerman, they should all just kind of think for a moment and then be like, oh, like this is what Knicks fans going through, and this is kind of like the perspective of what we go through as diehard Knicks fans on the daily. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's why we're here. That's what's so important about us expressing our voices, and our voices. Obviously now with this whole internet thing, a lot of people are winning big time. You know, with the vibe. With just the our perspective, giving out the Knicks fan perspective, the real New Yorkers perspective, not necessarily New Yorker, because we got fans in Austria and Germany and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But it's just like the fandom. Like we have a voice, and that voice is showing, man. Like I said, you have a good show. Like I said, I compliment you on your voice. I'm not just saying that just to say. I say things, because I mean it. You know what I'm saying? So everyone has their little lane, but it's very important for everyone to be heard, even the negative guys. So just to build a full picture of the situation, and it's all fun. So I'm just happy to be involved in it, man. This is a really 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 great time to be a fan of sports.
100%. And it's also a great time to do what we're doing. Start a podcast, start a blog, get your word out there, and to just build an audience. And with the virus and the pandemic that's going on now is a great time, since everybody is literally stuck inside. I mean guidelines have been opening up more, so more people are going outside, but I think it's just a great time to start what you and I are doing, and that's just getting our voices out there, and just giving our opinions on the climate of the NBA currently and everything that's going on with the Knicks. And even if somebody wants to create a blog about like the Charlotte Hornets or something, now is, I believe, a great time to really just let your voice be heard, because you have so much free time on your hands due to the pandemic.
Yeah, go for it. We're all like children right now. Like you mentioned your experience, but my experience, like I said, I mentioned Bernard King and my dad. My dad
Mhm.
used to put the radio on. I used to hear Marv Albert. Excuse me, not Marv Albert. I used to hear what's his name? Mike Breen. Mike Breen used to be on the radio, so I used to listen to Mike Breen. So I have a love for his voice or whatever, and just that moment. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like a drug addict. You're always chasing that high,
Hmm.
whatever. So I mean, this is like the points for everyone to remember. Remember what it was like when you first became, like, say, a fan. In a bigger perspective, anything in life, whatever brings you joy or brings some kind of happiness, this is a good time for everyone to just remember that, and just go for it.
A
You gotta
hundred
you gotta
percent.
remember, man.
Absolutely. And I mean, especially on the subject of Mike Breen. I mean, how more iconic can that voice get? I mean,
Yeah, I
when
mean,
you talk about one of the greatest moments in NBA history, I mean, he's always there with like bang, it goes in, or like Curry for three, and like or like J.R. Smith bang, and like it's great. I got the chance of meeting Mike Breen at opening night of this season, and he was just nothing but nice. And I was like, man, I've been listening to your voice for God knows how long, and I mean,
we
it's
grew up
just
we grew up listening to these guys.
exactly 100%.
Yeah, that bang, man. I still get the tickle, like when I was a kid. When I first heard it as a kid on the radio, when he said, "Oh, like whatever, like Trent Tucker for three, bang," that's
Yeah,
like a tickle. You got like a tickle. So
like chills.
yeah, so
Exactly.
you got to keep that going, man. This is the like I said, this is the most important part. Like that's another thing too. Like with everything happening, man. If you're not enjoying this ride, then you just miss the whole opportunity. This happened all for a reason, for everyone to get themselves together, get on board, and you're gonna waste it like this. This is like such a great opportunity.
100%. And that's why I love your show, because I mean, when I listen to it, I'm just like, yeah, like, you know, that guy, he's given us positive vibes, and I believe that I try to emulate that kind of spirit and vibe on my show too. So I just love that you are just open and honest about everything that's going on, whether it's not even the Knicks, literally when it's about like rap. And I remember, I think you were talking about like Nas a couple weeks ago and stuff like that. So, I mean, I just appreciate everything that you've been doing, not only for the Knicks community, but just New Yorkers in general, man. It's really inspiring and a big inspiration on me starting my podcast, because you know I heard you and I was like, hey, like that sounds so much fun. Just sitting and just kind of, you know, sharing your and getting your voice out there and just sharing your opinions on everything that's going on, not even with the Knicks, but just like in the world. And I was like, hey, like why don't I just kind of start that? So you've just been a huge inspiration as to why I started my podcast. So from the bottom of my heart, I just would like to thank you for everything that you're doing just for New Yorkers out there in general.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate it, man. But if I the best thing that I could say as like to give my gratitude is to do that for someone else. And I feel listening to you, I feel like you're on that vibe. I know you're younger than me and stuff like that, and to be young and on this level, that the sky's the limit for you too as well.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah,
100%.
because I mean,
Right back at you.
yeah, when I was younger, I was not exactly the the pillar of the community, but I had
Yeah.
to build up to be a certain way. But you're already ahead of the game, so just stay on that. Well, that's wrong. You don't stay in one spot, but you evolve and grow.
No,
You know,
100%. I know what you mean,
yeah,
man. No,
yeah,
don't worries. No worries. I know exactly what you mean, man. It is totally fine.
yeah.
I mean, you know, if you want to talk about just kind of like experiences, I guess as a Knicks fan, we could totally bring that up. What was it like the first time that you walked into the Garden for a Knicks game?
Ah, man, that's well, the first time I ever walked into a Knicks game, during those times, there was no 9/11, nothing, none of that happened.
Hmm.
So you could literally walk into the Garden and go straight to the Garden floor. I
Right.
mean, literally from like 33rd Street.
Oh
Walk
wow.
in 33rd Street, just walk right in, and nobody's gonna say anything to you, and you just walk right in
Yeah.
and sit. So my first experience with the Knicks, my dad, he was young too. So he was like maybe like I want to say like 20, 24 or whatever, 24 or 25 or so.
Hmm.
So as a little guy, he just brought me to the Garden. I don't know what's going on. I just know I seen things on TV and whatever. I don't really understand what's happening. But like I said, I remember just walking through, and people would stop and say, "No, let them go, man," because they see me and they just let me in. And then the Garden security, that they just, "Oh, go sit over there," because it really wasn't a big deal back then, because it wasn't, people weren't really thinking about anything like that. So we like literally I just sat down and watched them shoot around. So what's this guy's name? I want to say Rory Sparrow. I think it was Rory Sparrow. He was shooting around by himself, getting shots up and doing a little I guess it was like a layup kind of thing.
Hmm.
And he hit the side of the rim. I never forget. He hit the side of the rim and it bounced all the way to me.
Oh
So
wow.
it went right to me, and I picked it up. And I remember he just ran over to me and he looked at me and said, "Hey, little man, what's going on?" Like that. I'll just say, "Hey, how
Yeah.
you?" And I just would never forget that. And this is my dad is kind of just like, but in like hindsight now, I'm thinking about it, it's like it's crazy that even happened.
Uh-huh.
I mean that's probably like my earliest memory, man.
Oh wow, man. That's a crazy cool story. I mean, if I could add to stories, I mean, I have a tradition with my dad, and that's every year on Martin Luther King, on like every MLK Day, we go to the Knicks games every MLK Day, and I remember, I mean, this won't be as cool as your story, but I'll get into a story where I also met a player as well after this. But so I remember I went to the MLK game. I think this was like 2011, and or somewhere around then. But it was when Dwight Howard was on the Magic, and it was when, he was starting to just blow off. And I remember like watching him and I was like, this guy is going to be arguably one of the best centers in the league. And I just remember that moment very clearly. And I was like, ooh, and me and my dad were like, this guy is just destroying us. Like he was just so good back then. And especially when he he still has this, but when he, was really, going in on the gimmick of the Superman gimmick. I mean, it was just so kind of like, it kind of like cool to like watch of this like crazy dominating center just kind of do his thing. And I also, another story that I have as well, when I met a player, this was actually when I went to the Celtics game this past season. And so I brought me and a group of my friends. We were getting to our seats, and we just see Semi Ojeleye on the Boston Celtics, just kind of sitting, just like yeah, you could say on the bench, but like, and he was just literally just sitting there, like talking to like a friend or something. And I was like, guys, like that player, like he plays on the Celtics, like it's still like cool. We should go up to him. And he was so nice, and he was kind of like a little like surprised at first, because I mean, he's a great player, but I don't know how many times he just gets kind of recognized in like the street or something. But he was like, oh, like, whoa, like, hey guys. And we had a crazy cool conversation with him, and he was nothing but nice. And I mean, we got a picture with him too. So it was just, that was so fun. And I'll never forget those kinds of memories, like you were saying as well, like with your story too. Like, I think being a Knicks fan, there's so much hardship going on, but there's just the little things, like, like you were saying before, if you enjoy that scenery on the ride, you're going to see all of those little things that make Knicks fans what they are. And you come out on the other side with all of these positive moments and memories, like what we both are sharing right now.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Great stuff, man. Great talking to you. See, this is great. We never spoke to each other. It's our first conversation. And
Yeah,
look at
literally. Yeah. No, I was worried when I got on here, because I was like, I know your show so well. And I was just like, oh, like, how is this, like, is it going to be awkward? But I'm like, no, man, it was just, it's chill. It's just two Knicks fans just having a great conversation. And you could come on my show anytime, and I would love to come back and do this again with you for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, right now we're just kind of like we're kind of getting to know each other, and if the fans are getting to whoever's listening to my podcast, I don't like to call them fans because I'm like bashful,
Yeah.
But whoever's listening to the show, they're gonna be interested in introduced to you as well. So this is all, it's all a good party here, man.
100%. Good vibes only. Positive vibes only. And this was so much fun talking to you, man. And I'd love to come back on again, and you can come on my show anytime, and we can just chat about everything and anything that's going on with the Knicks or just basketball in general. And I had a absolute blast on here, and I'd love to do it again with you sometime.
Absolutely, man. Just hit me up anytime. Just like how it happened, right? It was 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right away.
Yeah, that's sometimes that's how it goes, man. But yo, do some promo, man. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Oh, great. So you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Knicks Community. Just one word, no spaces or anything like that. And you can find my podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and there's like a ton of more sites and stuff that you can go on. But if you search Aiden Donahue on Spotify, the first thing that will come up is my podcast. So, I mean, if any of you guys would love to hear stories from former Knicks, I mean, I've interviewed Chris Childs, Chris Copeland. I just got to interview Allen Houston as well. And I just think what I try to bring to the table, like I've been saying throughout this whole interview, man, just positive vibes and just good vibes only. I mean, that's all I try to bring. I mean, same with you, man. Just positive vibes. And if you guys want to check out my show or my content on Instagram, you could totally do that. Or if you want to just leave me a message on Instagram and Twitter at Knicks Community, you can do that as well.
Awesome, man. Hey, you got introduced to my motorcycle guy. I don't, you say you watch the show, man. Every time I do a show, there's that freaking motorcycle guy. He always drives by and tries to sabotage the show. So he kind of just went by just now. So
Oh,
that,
that's
that's
awesome, man.
yeah, that's like my little mascot or whatever. One of these days, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna videotape him, because
Yeah,
he's
you should get him on. You should get him on the podcast and just interview him, man.
yeah, interview him or maybe like hit him with a rock or something, man. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like get away.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. But no, this was so much fun, and I really just I had a blast, and I'd love to do this again, and I'll definitely hit you up more in the future, man.
Yeah, definitely. Then we can really get into because our time is coming too. The draft is coming, and then we might not play until probably like February. That's like another story. But I mean, we're gonna really get into like Knicks stuff soon, man. So I'll definitely jump on yours, and like I said, you're welcome to come back here as well.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, I mean, if you want to do a collab during the draft in real time, also if that interests you, we could totally do that as well.
Yeah, we'll
Hundred
see what
percent.
happens, man. You never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, anything can happen, and just again, just had a fantastic time talking to you, and you can come on my show anytime, and I'd love to be back. So thank you so much.
Okay, man. Well, you know how I end the show, so I like to tell the fans to put their four fingers to their forehead, tucking their thumb, and salute, and that's what you do when you see a diehard. So, my man Aiden now, we're like, what are we like? we're like Nick brothers now, right? So
Yeah, man,
you see my guy
100%.
Aiden out there, you see me out there. If you see us, salute us. That's what you do when you see a diehard, man. So yeah, thanks again, man, Aiden, and see you in the next one, right?
See you again. Thank you so much.